Everyone hears earthquake swarm off the coast of Washington and thinks the same thing. Is this Cascadia? Is this the big one starting? But that is not what happened on April 12th. What happened was 18 earthquakes on the Juan de Fuca Ridge, 250 miles offshore, on the exact piece of ocean floor where the plate that will eventually break Cascadia is being manufactured right now. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network said it clearly: these quakes are not near the Cascadia Subduction Zone, not at Axial Seamount Volcano, and do not pose a hazard to the Pacific Northwest. They were right on all three counts. But the coverage treated the swarm as a non-event and moved on. So the swarm was not a Cascadia warning. It was something more specific, a rare surface glimpse of the offshore machine that creates, adjusts, and ultimately subducts the Juan de Fuca Plate beneath North America. And that machine right now is active at every stage simultaneously. The Juan de Fuca Ridge is the creation end of a three-part tectonic system. Part 1 is the ridge itself, 500 kilometers of mid-ocean spreading center, sitting entirely underwater, continuously producing new oceanic crust at 6 centimeters per year, pushing the Juan de Fuca Plate eastward. Then there is the Blanco Transform Fault, a 350 kilometer right-lateral strike-slip system connecting the Juan de Fuca Ridge in the north to the Gorda Ridge in the south. PMEL monitoring data identifies the Blanco as the single highest producer of seismic energy in the entire Northeast Pacific Plate boundary. Louder than the ridges, louder than any other segment. Every earthquake on the Blanco is the stress adjustment mechanism doing its job between creation and consumption. Part 3 is the Cascadia Subduction Zone, 1,000 to 1,300 kilometers of locked fault from northern Vancouver Island to northern California, where the Juan de Fuca Plate finally dives beneath North America. Above roughly 30 kilometers depth, the two plates press against each other in frictional contact. Strain accumulates. The plates do not slip. So the April 12th swarm was a pulse from part 1 of a machine that ends at a locked zone with 326 years of strain stored in it. Once you understand what the three parts of that machine are doing simultaneously right now, the swarm stops looking like a routine offshore event and starts looking like a window into a system in full operation. The PNSN bulletin named all three parts while trying to explain why the swarm wasn't any of them. Not Cascadia, not axial, not a hazard. Read those three negatives together and you get the outline of the complete Juan de Fuca tectonic assembly. A ridge where crust is made, a volcano on that ridge, and a subduction zone at the end of the plate. The bulletin was right about the swarm, but the swarm happened on the same ridge that is simultaneously inflating an underwater volcano toward its next eruption, and almost no coverage mentioned that both things are happening on the same geological structure at the same moment. Axial Seamount sits on the Juan de Fuca Ridge, about 500 kilometers off Oregon, 1,400 meters below the ocean surface. 4 cabled bottom pressure recorders from the National Science Foundation's Ocean Observatories initiative, operated by the University of Washington, measure caldera floor deformation in real time, transmitting through fiber optic cables to servers on shore. Bill Chadwick, research associate at Oregon State's Hatfield Marine Science Center, tracks that deformation on a public blog. As of the most recent update, the caldera has inflated past the level recorded immediately before the 2015 eruption. The volcano has already exceeded its previous pre-eruption threshold, but the seismicity is running at only around 100 earthquakes per day. Before the 2015 eruption, Deborah Kelly, director of the Regional Cabled Array at the University of Washington, observed sustained periods above 2,000 per day. The inflation is past threshold. The seismic escalation has not arrived. Chadwick's forecast, mid to late 2026, said, "It could be tomorrow because it's completely unpredictable." All three previous documented eruptions at Axial 1998, 2011, 2015 occurred between January and April. The April 12th swarm also happened in April. The two events are not causally connected. They are independent processes on the same continuous spreading center, which is exactly the point. The ridge does not stop between notable events. It is continuously active at multiple points simultaneously, and the swarm and the inflating volcano are both evidence of that. Below the 30-kilometer locking depth, Cascadia itself already moves in slow earthquakes called episodic tremor and slip that occur every 13 to 16 months. GPS stations across Oregon and Washington record tiny movements of the land during these episodes, the continent shifting imperceptibly toward the ocean as the deep fault adjusts, then locking again until the next cycle. The deep part of Cascadia is in periodic motion. The shallow locked zone has not moved since 1700. That is the zone where 326 years of strain are stored. USGS estimates the probability of a full margin magnitude 9 on Cascadia in the next 50 years at between 10 and 15%. The evidence that this system has ruptured before is not in a seismograph record. The evidence is in trees. Brian Atwater, geologist with the United States Geological Survey, documented the Coppolis River ghost forest on the Washington coast western red cedar, still standing in a tidal marsh, roots submerged, bark stripped, wood bleached gray. The trees died in the winter of 1699 to 1700. Ring dating confirmed it to that specific season. They died because the land dropped suddenly, the ocean moved in, and the salt killed them. The land dropped because Cascadia ruptured and the coast subsided instantaneously. The trees are still standing in that marsh, exactly as the fault left them 326 years ago. The rupture also crossed the Pacific. Kenji Satake, seismologist, published the connection in 1996. Japanese coastal records from the Genroku era describe a tsunami arriving on the coast of Honshu around midnight of January 27 to 28. 1,700. A wave with no local earthquake to explain it. An orphan tsunami. Satake worked backward from the troubled time and placed the originating earthquake at approximately 9 p.m. Pacific time on the 26th of January 1700. The same event that dropped the Coppolis cedars into tidal water sent a wave 8,000 kilometers across the ocean and arrived in Japan before sunrise. USGS research documents at least 19 events of magnitude 8 or greater on this fault over 10,000 years. Average recurrence interval for a full margin magnitude 9, 480 to 530 years. The current gap is 326 years. The 1,700 rupture did not happen after a period of unusual offshore seismic activity. It happened after whatever was happening on the 25th of January 1700, the last ordinary day before the last time. The Juan de Fuca Ridge was producing new crust. The Blanco was adjusting stress. Axial was inflating or deflating. None of that was a warning. The warning was the fault itself. The ridge is still producing and the Blanco is still adjusting. Axial is past its pre-eruption threshold. The locked zone is accumulating. And the Coppolis ghost trees are still standing in tidal water on the Washington coast, exactly as the fault left them. The April 12 swarm was not the signal that the next rupture is near. The locked zone does not broadcast that. It accumulates silently, and the only record it leaves when it finally moves is in subsided coastlines, dead forests, and a wave that crosses the Pacific overnight. The Juan de Fuca Ridge has been producing new oceanic crust for millions of years. That crust moves east, locks against North America, and waits. The ridge is still producing. The plate is still moving. Cascadia is still locked. The machine is running exactly as it was on the 25th of January 1700, the last night before the last time. If this story is worth telling, subscribe, we cover more of these every week.